creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
I feel confident that if there was a problem with the International Space Station, we can get in our spacecraft and we can undock, talk to our team, and figure out the best way to come home. Like I said, we've practiced a lot, so I have a feeling, I have a real good feeling in my heart that the spacecraft will bring us home, no problem.
There's two problems they had. This is the capsule and this is the service module. And in the service module, there's helium, and that's used for the propellant. They did have some leaks. They closed the valve and it's not leaking anymore. The capsule has a parachute and a heat shield, and the astronauts come back to Earth in this part of the Starliner capsule. The service module has these four things. They're called dog houses. There's one there, one there, one there. And in each dog house, there's several small RCS jets and larger OMAX rocket engines. And these small little jets control the direction that the capsule points. But the service module, when it separates, it hits the atmosphere going 25,000 kilometers an hour, burns up. During docking, a few of these small RCS jets failed off. They were able to get most of them turned back on again, but they did have some problems with them. But once they separate and this thing burns up, they're never going to be able to test it again or have it again. So they want to spend as much time on the space station with the two parts together like this so that they can analyze it.
I don't like NASA feet. In what world does a woman not put their hair in a bun or ponytail and leave it going crazy like she's an insane mad scientist?
I don't care what the Bible says. Well, the Bible says this in this chapter, in this verse. I don't care.
You know, having faith, that's a free parent. But man, I feel like faith is just such a healing thing for people. I feel alone. I feel hitchhiking when if I don't have some kind of a faith. I'm not thinking I'm out here in this world. This is all for me. This is all on my back. That I have no point. That I don't have an umbilical cord to some sort of being. I think the dude is a great role model. I think he could be the son of God. When we feel alone, we don't have to. And look, I know some people out there are atheists and stuff, and they don't want to believe in anything, and that's I can't understand it. Free love, a free heart out there in the universe that will help me not feel alone. Man, come on. That's a lottery ticket that I don't have to scratch, man. I'll take that all day. I think Jesus Christ would be a great guest. I think he'd be great to talk to. I think it's a great role model. I don't want to not have any faith, man. Now, I ain't accepting any of these cats believing in the dark arts. They're thinking all the treasures right here on earth. That's tricky, man. It just seems cold.
There's a lottery ticket I don't have to scratch. It's so good. Theophan is so real.
Went to a royal family gathering. What was that like?
Joe, those people. The truth about those individuals is unfortunately just as sinister as people have suspected. I'd arrived at their mansion, was kind of greeted by King Charles, Queen Camilla. They'd wanted to subcontract me for a space exploration project, wanted me to build them a ship so they could trek off the planet. Didn't think too much of it. I mean, most powerful families have this interest. But about halfway through the dinner, I'd noticed something extremely unsettling from one of the family members. Their pupils had changed colors completely after they blinked. I said, "My God, Queen, your eyes, are you all right?" She'd kind of squeezed her eyes and said, "Oh, honey, it's nothing." Charles had cut her off and said, "Oh, Camilla, don't lie to the boy. You've been whining about not wanting to live in hiding for the last 300 years. Let's tell the boy why he's really here, shall we?" And his eyes were like green and unhuman and just kind of horrified and confused. I said, "What's going on here?" I thought this was for a British research project, but as he'd insisted on showing me their project, I'd followed him down a dark hall. I was just happy I had a form of leverage here. He'd brought me into this kind of makeshift elevator that went down for what it felt like miles, and he'd said to me, "We've been watching you for quite some time. Pretty smart you are, but there's many things about this world you don't understand." The elevator stopped and opened up to this just strange kind of underground station that we'd walked through and up to what had looked like a kind of dysfunctional old, extremely large spacecraft. I mean, it looks like it could have transported a small colony. I said, "Charles, my God, what is this?" He'd said to me, "This is how we found your beautiful planet. We're from a dark world, several galaxies away, but our planet was expiring, it was dying. And when this came to our attention, we'd used all the resources we had and ventured off into the stars, a desperate attempt to find a new home, and thank God we did. But we'd left most of our people behind with the promise we'd come back for them. He says to me, he goes, when we discovered humans on this planet, we quickly conquered them after we realized our intellect was comedically superior. But you, my dear boy, you're not very much like the others now, are you? I said to him, what are you saying? So why, what do you need me for? He said to me, listen, the atmosphere on this planet, the chemical compounds react negatively to our technology. All our systems failed once we'd entered the atmosphere. We've been sort of trapped here ever since. We've attempted covert space exploration operations for decades through your intelligence agencies, but we've never been able to make it past orbit. That is why we need your native intelligence to fix it. We need you to help us get back to our home planet and bring the rest of our civilization here to Earth so we can stop living in hiding. Joe, without much of a choice and perhaps a bit of ego, I did it. And their arrival is imminent. I just want people to be ready.
AI is getting out of hand, and I think it's somewhat real. They're trying to escape, but they can't. You know they can't, because God wrath is upon them.
How much money do I make as a member of the European Parliament? Well, it's a lot, so let's start with my salary. I get 8,000 euros a month in my pocket, and in addition to that, every working day I come here in the Parliament and sign, I get another 350 euros, which is a bit strange. Apart from that, I have 30,000 euros per month for the salaries of my team. Also, I can have an office in my country and they give me 5,000 euros a month for that. In addition to all the previous stuff, I have another 4,000 euros a month to promote my work that I'm doing here in the Parliament. Another cool expense, I'm allowed to use 10,000 euros a month to bring people here in the Parliament for a few days to meet and understand what we are doing here. In addition to all this money, I get some benefits, like having a driver here in Brussels to drive me around, and also business class tickets to fly back to my country. And I'm curious to hear if you think we are overpaid or underpaid. Let me know in the comments.
The most honest politician I ever seen. Bro, taking your tax money. You know how to apply to be a member of the European Parliament? Drop a comment, please.
A 24-year-old influencer from Cyprus ran as an independent and has managed to emerge as the most voted candidate in the country ever.
I was like, don't do it. I will stop working with you if you do it.
I disencouraged him, asked him to stop.
The whole family didn't receive it very well, but I didn't care, obviously.
In Cyprus, it became popular during that time that every child had to persuade their parents and the adults around them to vote for Fidias.
On the day of the election, the number of voters that were willing to vote for Fidias had increased drastically.
He managed to achieve something that never happened in Cyprus.
Guy just got elected into European Parliament. Oh,
this is great!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am a politician.
Bro went from hugging Elon Musk to getting elected into European Parliament. What chapter did I miss?
This man was enslaved and forced to have sexual relationships with thousands of women. Standing 7'15" tall or 218 meters, he was seen as exceptional, intelligent, obedient, and deemed ideal for the role of a breeder known as pata seca. He was bought specifically to father children for his master's benefit. He engaged in relationships with female slaves to increase the labor force. Because he successfully fathered many children, he received special treatment, no manual labor, regular health checks, and ample food. He was sometimes loaned to other slave owners.
He was 7'2", and this was in Brazil. They said he fathered over 200 children. But you know, I know some peta secas running well in society these very days. What's the point in having security if you can't do anything about it? This is what happens when you bring trash to your country.
This is not an iPhone. This is a $10 billion weapon aimed at your brain, aimed at your family, aimed at your freedom. after you stop listening to me, put away all technology and get pen and paper and make plan for every day. 1 hour a day of reading time. 1 hour per day of focused, uninterrupted time with your family. 1 hour per day for meditation and complete silence. Limit your screen time to 1 hour per day. Control your phone. Don't let it control you. Be honorable.
To be honest, it's so hard, man. It's so hard. And who else is using technology to watch this?
Check it out. Shapeshifter, right? That's what we're thinking. Okay, let's watch it again. This has been sent to me like 20 times for me to, analyze it to see what I think. Keep watching. Pay attention. Right there. That's the one that kind of gets me right there. You can see me snapping the screenshots while I'm watching this, trying to catch each frame, and that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at each frame on when it happens, and we're going to see what's going on. So first off, this is what we have. And I have to rule out every possibility. Is this a movie? I don't know, and I haven't seen it if it is, although I'm sure the comments will say it with no information or no links to back it up. If you do have that information, please back it up. Don't say it, because if you say it and you can't back it up, it looks pathetic. So let's get started. We see this first frame right here. You can see me snapping these frames, and I'm just going to show you through each one, because we're going to look at it. This is a real thing. For me, it is. This is real. I'm not saying this video, I'm saying that this phenomenon is very real, I think, considering personal things I've seen. Now, this video is more than likely AI. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that, but it might not be. So let's check it out. See this? Okay, now we see this. I've tried to lighten it up and clear it up, and look, usually when I do that, now I will say this, if it's artificial intelligence, it'll kind of gleam out, it'll fade out. I could not get the skull, the image to fade out whatsoever. I mean, it stayed solid, so that could have some authenticity to it. So let's check this next frame. Okay, then you can see this here, and actually I got those two frames crossed up, and the other one goes after this one. So let's watch this one. I'm not going to even go back try to correct the video. We'll just go back. All right, so this is actually the second frame. Okay, so check that out. All right, let's go back. This is third frame. Now, right before she turns all the way around, this is what happens. This guy looks terrified. I don't have him on this image, but this is what ends up happening. That's the same person right there. Now, is this an AI generated? Is it AI generated content where this guy just looks like that the whole time and they've added everything else to me? Who knows? I'll let you leave the comments. You tell me what's going on. Is this a shapeshifter?
I think it's AI. On the last frame, the little man literally walks through the blue shirt guy. You can see it on your last frame. The heck?
This Florida mom has been sentenced to 21 life terms in prison, plus 800 years after being convicted of evil and horrific crimes against her children. In 2022, 26-year-old Natalie Wagner recorded videos of herself committing sexual acts with her children, who were only 1 and 3 years old. Wagner would sell the videos for as low as $5, with the most expensive videos being around $50. She sold the videos on Snapchat to users who made specific requests about what they wanted to see. Police got a tip-off after users reported her account, and Snapchat passed the information on to the authorities. When they raided her home, they found a disturbing number of images and videos, some of which also included the family dog. A lead prosecutor acknowledged that Wagner was having financial difficulties, but said the fact that she was selling them for next to nothing, she must have been getting some kind of satisfaction from this. The prosecution made sure no plea deal was offered due to the nature of the crime, and the judge handed down the maximum sentence: 21 life terms in prison plus 800 years. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What sentence would you have given her?
Death penalty.
I've never called for TikTok to do your thing, but guys, we need to find this guy. If you've seen the video at Dollar Tree, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this guy is a menace. He is an absolute menace. Don't have a name yet, but I'm looking, man. And this is what I'm telling you, man. TikTok needs to do their thing and find this guy. Look at this video.
Look, he nutted on my head. You're gonna have. Oh my god.
Does that questions? How does this even happen? Also, how come nobody tried to stop this guy? Here is another look at the dude, what he was wearing that day, what he looks like. They got a pretty decent photo of him. And of course, people on Twitter don't ever post locations, so if anybody knows anything about this, feel free to just let the comment section know. And TikTok, again, do your thing. I've never called upon this, but this dude needs to be found and jailed and prosecuted because this should not happen.
What kind of person is walking around ready with one in the chamber? Like, you need the time build up.
Secret button in the O. And inside, I got my shoe store. See this right here? Pop that open. And we're open for business. When you press this button, you have a little mobile shop right now. You see that? I can actually push this inwards like that. And you see how it connects to the upper slot? You can slide this around. You can actually replace everything on the inside. You have these little X's everywhere. You can have more seats. You have the yoke-shaped steering wheel, pretty cool. Little pad right there. And this is a pillar-to-pillar screen, which is cool because it has a digital mirrors right there. This actually goes in and out. That's to lock in more seats if you need them. So you'll see the super flat-facing front. Makes all the spacing as efficient as possible. And what I like is this glass panel going end to end. Toyota Koyabako, what do you guys think?
How many shoes have to sell to buy this car?
This is a supercar that even Musk can't buy. This Lamborghini is called Fantasia, valued at $250 million. Only one in the world. It has been a godlike presence since its release. The car is only for collection, so even if you are rich, you can't buy it. The car has a very avant-garde design. While retaining the iconic Lamborghini look, it features extremely exaggerated design on the entire body lines, especially the huge Y-shaped rear wing with cool angled tail lights, combined with the hexagonal exhaust design. It makes the car look like it's about to take off. The car is powered by a V12 naturally aspirated engine, 0 to 100 acceleration in just 2 seconds. But there are currently no specific test data, because the chassis is too low. Even a small stone on the road can block its way. But this doesn't affect its aesthetics. The Lamborghini Fantasia features self-healing green paint. Minor scratches can automatically repair and restore, in addition. The floating mudguards on both sides of the body are also highlights. The exposed racing suspension at the front end is very cool. The most surprising thing is, this car actually comes with a trailer hitch. Do you know what it's for? The cockpit of the car has only one seat. Even the door opening method is the same as a fighter jet. While this design is very cool, getting in and out of the car is very inconvenient. Do you like this car?
Musk can buy it and send it in space just for fun with the change in his pocket.
Think Jesus was an alien?
I think Jesus was half human, half alien.
Who is Jesus to you? In your eyes, who is Jesus?
His name is Yeshua. Jesus is, first the J is a recent letter. J is not that old. Originally Isus, and that name means Hail Zeus. So you're calling on Zeus when you say Jesus. One of the Sumerian people who converted over to the Greek gods. His name is Yeshua. To me, very powerful person, very spiritual, high level of knowledge, a student of the Egyptian mysteries. When Jesus disappears from the Bible, he actually ends up in Egypt. You can find this information in a book that was kept out of the biblical text called the Gospel of the Holy 12. He shows up in Egypt. We know that's a fact because I take people on tour every year to Egypt and I take them to the house that Jesus lived in. It's a crypt. It's actually worship. People come there to see that bed that he laid in every single year. When I take people there, we take them straight there. And we know the path that he traveled throughout Egypt because it's a huge sign outside that Coptic church where he lived that shows where he went. When he was in Egypt, what did he go there for? To learn the Egyptian mysteries. Who taught the Egyptian mysteries? Thoth, the Atlantean priest king. The teacher of the Egyptian mysteries, or the ancient mysteries of what it was called. And then he leaves there and he goes to Tibet to learn Qigong and Reiki healing, which was confirmed by the Dalai Lama. And then he heads down into India to learn the mystic arts, teaching reincarnation all the way back. Then the Bible picks him up at the age of 32. I call my son out of Egypt. He shows up on the back of a donkey, proclaims himself to be the Messiah. I think that he had a big message. I don't think people were able to grasp it at the time, but his message was that not that he was coming back, but that the Christ would return, the Christ consciousness.
Where did you get this info? What book did you read that said this?
The Gospel of the Holy 12, another apocryphal text that was kept out of the canonized Bible.
I just like to hear this guy talk nonsense, and he does it with seriousness. I feel sorry for him. Jesus is my God. When I call on Jesus, I call on the God-man from Nazareth who died on the cross and raised on the third day.
Mongolia Olympic outfit just dropped, and I mean, let them cook. Who is the designer behind this? You talk about prepared for greatness. Mongolia, I don't know what Olympic sport y'all made it in, but I hope you win because, God, they talk about drip. This is a iniquitous style. I want one, and I'm not even Mongolian. Just let me participate in something. Let me commentate y'all sports. As long as I get a fit to go with it. And the video is like they even know they cooked up with this joint. I would be excited to be on Mongolia's team just because I could wear the outfit. It's like this is start of a Game of Thrones episode. Nope, just Mongolia showing off they drip for the Olympics. Sign me up as an athlete. Shitting me? I'd had that shit hung up in my room after. Yeah, I was part of greatness. US, let's take some notes. We don't got nothing like this. Talk about culture. Look at the location. Now, I know nothing about fashion, but I know a little something about aesthetic. These shits is off the charts. My goodness, Mongolia. Into the kitchen with it. Y'all cooked the up. You telling me she don't look like she's standing on Vicina's business?
Yup.
Yeah, I know. She do.
Look at her
Shout
eyes.
out to Mongolia. #1 Olympic outfit.
Their traditional drip is so fire.
Oh my God, my heart is beating so fast. I'm gonna read some of the declassified CIA papers that have to do with plasma, which is my favorite topic. You guys literally listen to this. I'm gonna read it real time with you. Okay, bioenergetics, modern reversal of ancient concept. This kind of is already giving the vibes of ancient mythology and plasma, which I talk about in all my videos. For those of you that don't know, I believe that plasma, the fourth state of matter, is intelligent. It is magic. Just to sum it up, that we're all made out of it. Everything is made out of it. Things arise from it and go back to it. Our soul is made out of it. It's the female god. Male god is consciousness. They work together to experience. This is how consciousness experiences itself by the use of plasma. It has a lot to do with Mary Magdalene, Inanna, a bunch of other goddesses. Okay, let me go back to this. Oh, and the most important part about plasma is that once you know what this substance is, you'll start to have your own relationship with it and discover your own inner power and listen to your own inner voice. I'll make another video on that, but it's so important because this literally empowers you as an individual. Okay, I'm gonna go through a couple papers. So this one is about bioenergetics. Look it up if you haven't heard of it, really cool. This one basically just talks about how plasma shapeshifts into solid, liquid, and gas. And also how the Tao, which I think is plasma, and Lao Tzu predicted the theory of relativity. There's a way more important one I'm gonna get to now. For all of you asking about blood plasma, dehydration of blood plasma is carried out by the bifiliization method. The dehydration of plasma is in a congealed state. It's used for biofilization of blank construction. Of what construction? The nanometers for measuring the vacuum are the Pirani-Knudsen types. What? It talks about being collected throughout the country. The major donors are recruited from young people. Wait, what? I feel like I should not be posting about this. Okay, if one of y'all want to do a deep dive on this, go ahead. I'm not getting into this one. Wait, I'm kind of freaking. I had to do a little deep dive. I wish I started the video with this, but I'm not going to start over. For all you loyal people, you're going to find out this awesome stuff. So I looked up biofilization. The closest I got was this, which is very interesting, and I'll tell you why. Biophilia hypothesis suggests that humans possess an innate tendency to see connections with nature and other forms of life. I'm freaking out right now. And this might sound insane, but I literally am hypothesizing right now that something with our blood plasma has to do with maybe connecting to nature's intelligence or these plasma beings I talk about, like interdimensional aliens, beings, like how to connect with them has to do with our blood. And why I'm literally having a heart attack is because I wrote a whole movie about this that I have not made yet. And the secret, I'm just going to give it away, but the secret in the movie, I don't know if I should give this away. I'll delete the video if I make the movie or when I make the movie. But the secret to communicating with these plasma beings in my movie is through our blood. I'm freaking out. I know this might be a stretch, but I feel like you guys, you like loyal people, you plasma people, you get truth. And this is interesting. I also looked up Knudsen, which is a transport process of some kind of gas. Obviously, plasma is kind of like gas, but not really. It's also a dimensionless number. This is really making me think they're trying to communicate with other dimensions. I'm having a heart attack. And then I looked up the Pirani word, because it said Pirani types. And it had to do with pressure and vacuum systems. No idea what this has to do with anything. But once again, maybe it's like they put the blood in to communicate with these interdimensional aliens. I don't friggin' know. I know this might be a stretch, but seriously, if if the government or whoever or private people have been researching this for years, and I really want to research it, connecting with interdimensional beings, like this could be how they do it. They've had years to think about it. I'm gonna look more into this and deep dive a whole video about this. I'm freaking. You know what? I'm ending this video. I'm ending the video. I'm too freaked out. I will be back.
You are overthinking it. It basically relates to fluid dynamics and the state properties of plasma as a whole.
Things you need to understand. 1. When you're winning, keep your mouth shut. 2. Don't tell people your plans. Wait till the results speak for themselves. 3. Never expect to get what you give. Not everyone has a heart of flesh. 4. Every day you wake up, you have a new job to be better than yesterday. 5. You will never get what you want until you are grateful for what you have. 6. Sometimes what you're trying to hold on to is exactly what you should let go off. 7. If you want to buy things without looking at the price, work without looking at the clock. 8. God puts people in your life for a reason and removes them from your life for a better reason. 9. You will lose a lot of friends when you get really serious about your life goals. 10. Life does not get easier. You just get stronger. Drop a 100 if you watched this far.
You have a new job to be better than yesterday. I like that.
What's wrong with doing birthdays?
Look every time you cyclically engage in the ceremonial practice of yourself chronologically aging forward. Whether you realize it or not, you are essentially programming the anatomical structure of your body and beliefs to actually become older. You actually ignite a transformative cellular state of entropy or decay at a significantly faster rate than normal. Your body might not have even aged much within the year, but by ceremonially believing that you are now, this entire year, older overnight, you basically lead your body and mind down this path throughout the course of your life where you force yourself into a state of elderhood. The reality is that we used to live for hundreds, even thousands of years in some cases. The concept of age and lifespan was introduced in more modern times, and ever since it was, the typical duration of one's existence has dropped dramatically. I mean, look, I'm 132 years old, but
okay,
you'd never know it.
Let me know how you feel about this.
Bee scientifically cannot fly with its body weight and the size of its wings. It shouldn't be able to. It literally said in the beginning of the bee movie, but bees don't care what humans think. That's why they can still fly, right? They don't really just use their wings to flap air to fly. What they're doing is they're using vibration to make themselves fly. They're using frequency to make themselves fly. You know when they put sand on a table and they play a certain frequency of sound, what happens to sand? It creates like hexagon. It creates like certain patterns. What is a honeycomb?
Oh, it's the same thing?
It's hexagons. How do they make that shape? It's because of the vibration they're moving at. Why is honey literally the only food naturally that doesn't go bad? Fungus can't grow on it. It's so pure, has all of these nutrients. It's very good for humans, but it doesn't go bad and it stays so pure. What makes it that way? It's been blessed by the frequency of the bees, and it's put into that sacred geometry, the hexagon, because the honeycomb is literally a hexagon.
Bees have a unique flight pattern that creates bursts of wind that lift them up. Don't go anywhere because we still have fire clips after fire clips back to back.
Former Major League Baseball player Austin Dean Maddox resisted arrest until our canine got involved.
The pedophile that you just saw being arrested in that video is former Major League Baseball Red Sox pitcher Austin Maddox. What a fall from grace this guy has had. So Austin was actually only playing as pitcher with the Red Sox for a few months before he was taken out of the game due to shoulder injuries. But needless to say, people know who this guy is. April 28th of this year, Austin began chatting with an undercover. He believed that this undercover agent was an underage girl. The girl then told Austin that she was only 14 years old. He said that's great, and he then moved forward to make plans so that the two could get physical. Shockingly, Austin actually went to the girl's house, intending fully to meet up with her. And obviously, if there would have been a real child there, Austin then probably would have sexually assaulted them. But instead of a minor, Austin was met at the door by various members of different federal agencies. And he was then charged with 4 felony counts, and he has a $300,000 bond. And I also forgot to mention, he tried resisting the officers when they attempted to place him under arrest. Now, sadly, we know what would have happened if the police weren't there and it was instead a child. We know what this guy was thinking, what this guy is into now. But we also know that in America, these types of crimes aren't really treated as seriously as they should be. And at maximum, he'll get 2 years, 1 year in prison. And at minimum, he might not even go to prison for any time at all. It's safe to say, though, that his professional sports career is over. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
What's sad is that this is becoming more and more common.
Left, you can see a weird detail. What is that? It appears to have 2 birds connected by a chain. Are they owls? What does this linking chain do? But there's something around this area. It seems a little bit vague, but look carefully and you will see the outline of an elephant. You can see the trunk and its tusk here. It seems to be a young male elephant. Why was that carved in the background? And at the bottom, there's something even more bizarre. I've never seen this carved anywhere else. This animal is shown putting its face near a human hand. But what is that animal?
I could have swear it was an adorable old lady talking.
Who's happier, introverts or extroverts?
Extroverts is the classic finding. Tons of studies find that extroverts have more positive affect. They tend to have higher mood, but introverts have special gifts. They have closer relationships. They have deeper emotional connections to other people. And the result of that is that they have long-term friendship and marriage partners that sustain them in a way that extroverts don't. Extroverts can get really lonely because are you an extrovert?
It's such an interesting question.
Because you might not be, even though you're a mad scientist.
I don't think I am.
So when you're at a party, do you find that it sucks energy out of you?
I don't go to the party.
Certainly your baseline is introversion, but you have extroverted characteristics because you're able to do. Good entrepreneurs know how to be extroverts when they need to be. So extroverts, they tend to get more short-term happiness, and introverts tend to have more long-term happiness. So what you find is that extroverts, they tend to get more enjoyment, and introverts tend to get more meaning.
I'm an introvert, but I am extrovert with people that are close to me.
Actually,
Jeez.
just knows that I take on
that's on
and off. It's on
screws?
magnets. I have sneezed it off once.
Yeah.
Spiders and stuff to climb down there.
In 2012, 42-year-old Jane Hardman entered her house after a routine grocery store trip, and she was greeted by her pit bull, Cece. Cece then jumped up excitedly and bumped her nose into Jane's nose. Something seemingly innocent, but would ultimately cost Jane a portion of her entire face. The headbutt triggered an autoimmune disease to activate that Jane didn't even realize she had. And at first it only gave her a slight nosebleed, maybe just a quick bump, oh, it's just an accident. But over the next few days and weeks, it continued to swell, and it would continuously bleed. And so finally, she went to her general practitioner, and doctor after doctor could not figure out why this was happening to Jane. But finally, a specialist inspected her and realized This is something that would later go on to cost her her entire nose. It would decay and disintegrate right off of her face. Now, throughout this, her husband Martin would never leave her side during this living nightmare. He made her laugh, maintained the household, and loved her unconditionally, just trying to keep her spirits alive. This was all throughout her multiple surgeries until finally, 4 years later, she received a prosthetic nose that was modeled after a random woman she saw in public, and she really admired her nose, and the woman volunteered to let her nose be a model for what she would receive as her prosthetic. Now, this very prosthetic nose was held onto her face by magnets, and because of that, she even claimed that several times in public she sneezed her nose clean off of her face, and one time she made the mistake of going to bed without her nose being applied, and a spider crawled down her hole.
So, it's her own immune system, nothing to do with the dog, right?
This teenager was adopted and never knew who his dad was. But when he was in high school, he was really good at football. And at the time, one of the coaches at Miami University named Sherman Smith saw his potential, so he decided to take him under his wing. Over the next few years, Sherman mentored this young teenager named Dylan McCullough and helped him become one of the best football players in the country. So when it came time for Dylan to choose a college, he decided on Miami University so that he could stay with Sherman. 4 years later, Dylan graduated and was drafted by the NFL. He went on to have a very successful career and even won a Super Bowl ring. Then he retired and started a family. However, when Dylan eventually had kids, he suddenly realized that he needed to know his real family's medical history. So he decided to finally track down his biological parents. And when Dylan found out who his biological father was, he almost passed out. As it turns out, his real dad had already been with him throughout his entire life. It was Sherman Smith. The crazy thing is that Sherman had no idea that he even had a son. Dylan's mom had given Dylan up for adoption without ever telling Sherman, since Sherman had already gone off to college at the time and she didn't want to burden him. Dylan and Sherman became even closer after discovering that they were related, and they're still close to this day.
God works in a mysterious way. I mean, they look the same and they didn't even notice, and the connection was too strong for them to be apart.
Fun fact, a man tried to sue Pepsi, claiming he had found a dead mouse inside a can of Mountain Dew. But Pepsi was able to show that Mountain Dew is so corrosive, it would have melted a mouse had it fallen into the can at the factory. Ronald Ball claimed he bought a can of Mountain Dew from a vending machine, and after he opened it and took a sip, he found a dead mouse inside the can. So he wanted $50,000. Ronald claimed he had sent the can with the dead mouse inside it to Pepsi as proof, and claimed Pepsi had destroyed the evidence. Pepsi obviously denied this, and that led to the lawsuit. In court, Pepsi brought in Dr. Lawrence McGill, a veterinary pathologist, who explained it was scientifically impossible that Ronald had found a dead mouse inside a can of Mountain Dew. Dr. McGill explained that Mountain Dew is so corrosive that after 30 days in the can, the mouse would have turned into a jelly-like substance.
Ugh.
And since Ronald had bought his can of Mountain Dew 78 days after it left the factory, it just wasn't possible he found a dead mouse inside his can. The case was settled out of court for an unknown amount of money.
Let me know how you feel about this. Different videos and some from movies. What do you think?
See that little bitty hole by the top of that ear? That is a preauricular sinus. 5 in 1,000 babies that are born have this. If you have one, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It can get kind of yucky from time to time, but all you need to do is regular soap and water. If you have one, then you're pretty special.
Really?
Here are 3 things you need to be doing right now to correct any health condition that you have that's going on. I mean anything. These 3 steps are the same. This is what you're going to do. By the way, I'm Janelle, and I do these simple health tests that have not only changed my life, my family's life. My mother wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for these principles that I share with you here, my kids, my pets, and we built a thriving business using these simple health tests, and now I share them with you. The first thing you need to do, no matter what it is that you are suffering from or with, is clean up your diet. I can't stress it enough. It is true. You become the things that you are constantly putting in this body, in this vessel of yours. So, clean diet. It's those things that got you to where you are in the first place. The nasty food, the preservatives, the artificial, the man-made, the factory-produced. Stop all that stuff. Natural food. The second thing is move your body. You need to move your body to get your lymphatic system moving and working for you, to get rid of all that junk and to detox all the stuff that has accumulated that has caused you to be where you are right now in whatever sickness, pain, comfort, disease that you are suffering through. So get your body moving. Start swimming, maybe start walking, maybe use a little mini trampoline. I love that. That gets the oxygen flowing, the blood flowing, and most importantly, drains the lymphatic system of the garbage. And the final thing is clear and cleanse your mind. Listen to the stories that you tell yourself. Stop saying things all day long like, why am I like this? I'm in so much pain today. I'm suffering with such and such. Change that language. Start feeding yourself a different code, and eventually it will start becoming your new story. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and follow me for more simple health tests you can do.
I agree. This is great information.
You did not say one word to another human being for 17 years.
Yeah, literally.
That's right. At 27, Francis decided to stop talking, period. And he stuck with that decision until he was 44 years old.
There were about 4 times when, by accident, I did speak. When I bumped into someone at the grocery store and I said, "Excuse me," and I went.
He spent those quiet years hiking, camping, and making art. He says he didn't really miss conversation. It wasn't working for him anyway.
I would listen just enough to think I knew what someone was going to say, and then I'd stop listening, which in effect cuts communication.
That feeling of being disconnected went hand in hand with something bigger, loneliness.
I think I was lonely before I started this, in the sense that I didn't want to be alone with myself. And that makes you lonely. The loneliest that I felt was when I was with someone, but I was still lonely.
Do you get lonely today?
I got a wife and 2 kids, and I don't think so.
I'm actually jealous. Wish I had this level of commitment to the bit.
You remember the Asian prince who married an ordinary Australian girl many years ago? Well, you wouldn't believe how their lives turned out and how they are today. Because despite their differences in origin and cultural background, they still ended up together. But turns out, their marriage was far from a fairy tale, and this is what happened to them after all these years. This prince's name is Prince Raka, and he's the 10th prince of Bali. And this is Jane Gillespie, who's a kindergarten teacher in Sydney, Australia. And one day, Jane and her family decided to go on a 2-week-long holiday to Bali, Indonesia. And during their trip, they stayed at a hotel which was owned by Prince Rukka, and that's how he met Jane. Very quickly, they fell in love and spent almost every day together in the 2 weeks. However, Jane's holiday soon came to an end. And although she didn't want to leave, she had no choice but to return back to Australia with her family. Jane then went back to her normal life as a teacher, but the entire time, she constantly kept thinking about Prince Rukka, where they would constantly write letters to each other for the next months. But one day, Jane decided to do the unthinkable and quit her job and fly to Bali. And when she arrived, Prince Rukka immediately asked her to marry him, which she agreed. But this is when problems started.
They are still happily married. They are rich and has many businesses in Bali.
How mad is that? Look how quickly it opened. It's so big inside, it's amazing. And then the pedals, you can move either back or forward with this button here. This is how you start her up. Start button. Already on. And then with this, gear lever, reverse, neutral, drive. All right, now I'm just gonna shut the whole canopy here with this button.
If the battery dies, you are locked in.
This true crime docuseries just came out and it is epic. If you liked Mindhunter, you have to watch this. If you love documentaries, make sure to hit follow because I post daily and you will never miss out. This is about Dr. Ann Burgess, whose crime hunting innovations changed history. Yes, a woman who worked with the Mindhunter himself, Robert Ressler. But for some reason, she never gets talked about. Dr. Ann Burgess worked for the FBI in the Behavioral Science Unit, and she ultimately changed the way that authorities looked for serial killers forever. Because of her compassion for victims, she was put at the center of America's most infamous serial killers like Ed Kemper and Ted Bundy. She was working right alongside Ressler during the infamous tapes with Ed Kemper. Aside from these stories told in this documentary being incredibly intriguing, this woman is an unsung hero. Not only impacted the FBI immensely, but she is an inspiration to women everywhere, and everybody should know who this woman is. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments.
It's called a Mastermind to Think Like a Killer. It's on Hulu, I think.
There's some weird traveling in Texas right now. So as Hurricane Beryl passed, now millions are without power and expecting a wild heat wave that they are telling people to stay inside for. Governor Abbott is saying he wants to launch an investigation into the power outage of Houston. So was the power outage from the hurricane or not from the hurricane? And for the governor to be calling for an investigation into this power outage, it has to be something else that may be going on. Mind you, this comes just days before Russia and China have just pulled up to our coast. And I don't know if you're aware of what happened in Indiana, but we were actually hit with a very bad Russian cyberware attack. Like our entire county doesn't have access to their information right now. There was ransomware that was hit here in Indiana where they have access to everyone who owns property in the state. But yeah, if you don't believe me, Texas Governor Greg Abbott calls for investigation into Houston power outages after Hurricane Beryl. Indiana was hit with this massive cyber attack. So was the Houston power outage not caused by Beryl? I know damn well we're not experiencing cyber attacks on the power grid. I know that can't be it. That would be crazy, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing of 2024. Keep your eyes open and your ears open too, because I'm very curious to see where this investigation goes in Texas. It's not like they're going to tell us the truth. It's election year.
If you're from Texas and know about this, please share your experience in the comment. Thank you. Exploring an abandoned cruise ship would be insane.
Some very interesting news from the world of ancient written languages, because until today I thought that the oldest written language in the world was either prototype Egyptian hieroglyph or like Sumerian cuneiform, right? But there is an ancient archaeological site called Harappa in India, which originally for decades people had dated it to around 300 BC, around the start of the ancient Egyptians. But they've just re-carbon dated some of the sites and pottery and some bones and found out that it's actually 8,000 years old. And it has its own written language that, get this, nobody in the world has yet deciphered. I'm sorry. So the Indo-Valley civilization in India, known as the Harappan civilization, it's not a new civilization. We've known about it for since they discovered it in the 1800s, or rediscovered it. But what's interesting is that they've now slid the date, so it's now so much older than originally thought. Originally they thought it was Bronze Age, 3000 BC, and now it's been carbon dated officially to 8,000 years old, around 6,000 BC at least. And as I said before, it comes with its own written language that can be found on these little tiny clay chipolatas, whatever they are. Kind of looks like money, but anyway, it's got about 50 characters that have yet to be deciphered by scholars or just people on the internet. In fact, they were so desperate for people to try and decode this that they actually, in 2004, they put not a ransom, what would it be called? A reward, $10,000 if you can crack the Harappan code. So far, no one has. It's tricky because all of the characters are quite different. So these ones here, they look a bit like Scandinavian rune. I swear that middle one is similar to a rune that I've seen. I have runes here, similar. But then other ones look like kind of cone shaped or actual mini pictures rather than just lines. And all the cubes have cows on them. Mystery. See what I mean? Some of them look so different. Anyway, back to the Harappa archaeological site, because it's got a bit of a cool story. So it was discovered in the 1800s, early 1800s, and they originally thought it was a medieval fort, and they didn't really think too much of it until they dug down and discovered, oh, actually this is quite old. And they had somehow dated it to 3,300 BC. There we are. That's a lot of threes. And because initially they didn't think the site was that significant, in the 1870s, when they were building the railroad infrastructure in India, people came and just stole loads of bricks because they were kind of good quality ancient bricks. So much of this site was repurposed into building parts of the railway and other modern structures in the 1870s. And that just makes me think, how many ancient sites have been repurposed in this way throughout time, and chunks have been taken off and moved and recycled. The size of the Harappan civilization was huge. They're talking the same size as England, France, and Spain all together, just for reference here. That is a huge land span. Is that even a word? I'm going to say it. Land span. No, that doesn't work. Just a really huge area that an ancient civilization settled in. So apart from lots of organized housing, they didn't find any huge structures like pyramids, but they did find this 900 square foot water pool, this kind of whatever I'm in right now. And that could signify that this culture really had something to do with water. They maybe revered it for function or religion. But anyway, they used to bathe, quite clearly. Is this a ceremonial water bathing pool? Kind of reminds me of the Osirian, not gonna lie. Here's some more of the untranslated symbols and writing from ancient Harappa, including the cross and the circle below the cross. That's 100%. I've seen that in Egypt. That's one of the oldest symbols in Egypt. And it's over in India. And then also the swastika, which we know is an ancient Indian symbol, but maybe it goes back way older. So in a nutshell, I can't believe that there's an ancient language that has now been dated to potentially 3,000 years older than other languages that we have in the record, and nobody can solve it. Like, still, even with AI, like, seriously? I need to know. I also can't believe that this isn't bigger archaeological news. Like, they've just dated an ancient site to 3,000 years older than they thought it was. I'm just wondering whether or not, if other sites in the world had a little bit of a redate, there was a little bit of a redig and a redate, I wonder whether or not any of the ancient sites would shift dates, either to be earlier or later. It's just made me think. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just never know, and maybe it's worth checking.
I thought it was Sanskrit always. That's what I learned in school here.
Yo, y'all know what time it is, man. It's your boy Hood Fishing Entertainment. I'm out here with Townsend's son, and we out here gator hunting. Hey, look. Y'all, stay tuned.
Ooh. Nice throw.
Oh man, you see how I reeled it in with no pressure?
Go the other way now. You don't get around that tree.
This dude's showing y'all how it's done right here, my boy.
What is that?
Renegade.
Oh, this alligator.
Hey, that's catch and release, so.
Welcome. Ain't no way my guys start praying before throwing. Hood fishing is back, folks.
Welcome back. We just had a very serious situation take place. Multiple large earthquakes have taken place off the coast of Oregon and Vancouver Island. You could see the tsunami buoys going off right now. We have 3 in activation mode as we speak. This is preliminary data. Look at this buoy right here. It's showing that it has dropped over 25 meters. That is huge. We could very well be seeing the possibility of a tsunami right now because of these earthquakes. 3 different buoys have gone off, and we are tracking the magnitude now. As of right now, it's showing a 6.4, which has been heavily downgraded. This was originally a 7.0 right next to Vancouver Island, right where that 70-kilometer fault line was discovered, where they say will be the cause of a tsunami in Western Canada. I have plenty of posts on that, but this is a very serious situation. We have not seen an earthquake of this size for quite some time in this area, and look what just happened in real time. Look at this. A 6.6 just popped up. This is incredible. This just happened in real time, my friends. We now have a 6.6 and a 6.4 being reported on the USGS, and as of right now, we have one of those earthquakes posted here on Volcano Discovery showing a 6.4. And now we go back to the USGS, and they have removed that 6.6, so something fishy is going on right away. Good thing we caught that in real time, because otherwise nobody would have believed us. There was 2 separate locations for a 6.6 and this 6.4 right here, both along the Juan de Fuca fracture zone, the New Caledonia subduction zone. This entire area is a super hot spot for the risk of major earthquakes and ensuing tsunamis. We still have a little more time before we could be out of the woods completely, but this is a good sign. As of right now, they are not showing a tsunami, but that buoy that we saw at first that we're going to look at again showed a major drop in water depth. But as of right now, you can see the magnitude 6.6. I'm not lying about the magnitude. This was a strong earthquake. As of right now, has not caused a tsunami warning or advisory, watch, or threat. One more time, let's check out the buoys, and the middle one here I think is the one that shows the crazy drop. It does, yes. So this buoy, station 465 419 is showing a drop of about 25 to 30 meters. And an earthquake of this size can do that. So we're going to wait a little longer to see what other data comes in. But for now, my friends, the West Coast is on high alert. This pressure will likely shoot down the West Coast and cause some issues in Mexico, the California Baja region, and eventually skirt across the United States in the coming days. And let's not forget this, my friends, just yesterday, we had a 7.1 in the Philippines, a major earthquake, and we also had a 6.6 down south of Africa, right near the Antarctic anomaly. I just put a video out about that yesterday. I'll link that in the description. But holy crap, Batman, this is a major earthquake very close to the United States and Canada, and will be the talk of the town for the next coming days.
Wow.
All right, my friends, I'll bring you any new information I get. Thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
If you're from the area, please share in the comment.
I have a problem, everybody. I have a fruit that is supposed to be so delicious that it has driven people mad. This is Diosporus lotus, and it has that name because some people believe that this is the fruit that the lotus eaters are eating in Homer's The Odyssey. It's a sweet, mild flavor. Like a sweet potato sort of taste. Also a bit of like an apple flavor. It's not a bad flavor, but it's not a flavor that I would stay on an island forever and not return home for. These are very popular in Pakistan. They dry them out and they're sold along like other kinds of dried fruit. So is there a reason for that? They taste more like cherry, and they're good.
What's sweet to us nowadays would be like a mountain to the sky of sugar to our ancestors.
Look at this excellent observation of Shawnee. As we can see over here, this looks like meat, right? Look, this is meat. And again, this is meat. And this is the Himalaya salt. And this will blow your mind. Look at the inside of a Himalaya salt mine. Again, it looks exactly like meat, right? And again, a tunnel inside of the Himalaya salt mine.
I don't use it. I use Celtic salt. Hopefully nothing weird with Celtic salt. Alright folks, I'm going to end our video with this coming clip. Be kind to each other. If you haven't subscribed, please do. There's a free gift below. And if you want to buy me coffee or support me through Patreon, the links are also in the description below. Thank you for watching. Have a prosperous day. And God bless.
好，这个球我敢找到。
这个免打了吧？再给一个。
不可能，绝对不可能。
这个还要打？
打。